Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Mindset You. Jason Rando here. We got Rancis to the left of me, my left. We got Moses to the bottom, King Baby. Today's episode is all about communication and how we feel pain makes you a better communicator. Don't forget to find us on YouTube, Spotify, YouTube Music.
Yeah, you're good, man.
I always forget that one. YouTube Music, Spotify, VidaProject.com, and Apple Podcasts. Anywhere else, fuck it. Anywhere you can find them, just find us. Thank you.
Yeah, like I hit up a trainer, a triathlon trainer.
You're gonna do a triathlon?
Yeah, I have. That's my goal. It's my one big thing for 2024.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think we found out what we're talking about for New Year for this episode.
That's what he was talking about, Rancis.
Yeah, you didn't hear me when I said that. I was like, we can do like for this year, for the podcast, like what we're gonna try to do and achieve.
Oh yeah.
So like basically
that works.
That same thing, but I think that's a good segue.
Nothing.
Well, anyways, going back to the story, I reached out to several people because obviously there's biking, there's swimming, there's running. So the only thing I really know how to do decently is run. That's the only thing I'm really good at. Swimming, that shit terrifies the hell out of me. And biking,
I forgot.
Yeah, biking, I mean, I've never rode a bike for like 50 miles, so I don't even know what that feels like.
Yeah.
And I don't know my ass is going to hurt for like the first 6 months of my life.
Yeah, you got to get like a good cushion for whatever bike you use.
It only takes like a week. Your ass, that bone in your butt hurts, and then after that, you're like, oh.
That's what they say in prison too. So after about a week, you're numb to it.
So I hit Karen up because Karen has done like triathlon sprints.
Mm-hmm.
So she's had coaches, and I was gonna ask her to coach me on biking, and then ask like Adina to hit me up to coach me running, and then get a swim coach, and then have a strength and conditioning coach. But there's this guy that Karen was like, no, this guy does everything. I hit him up, nothing.
I mean, it's the holidays. You might be.
I know, but it's like people don't want to make money. Like someone hits you up, be like, "Hey, man, I got your message. Let me hit you back up
not in the area
after the holidays." Okay, that one is a possible hypothesis, but
people do go away.
There is like global texting now. Like,
I don't know. It sounds like somebody's being privileged right now.
I'm just saying, man.
Is that it's hard? It's hard to be so accepting when, as a business owner.
Oh no, I get it. I'm just being devil's advocate.
It's crazy,
have such
man.
High standards.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. Because I see all these new businesses, and like you call them and they don't answer.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what's wrong with them? But then I thought about it. I was like, is that us?
Yeah,
because
I know you guys are the beacon of communication. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Sometimes I'll ask a question and then 6 hours go by. I know everybody's busy, but it's just funny because you guys are like, why isn't it immediate? And I'm like, because people are busy sometimes. You guys are proof of that.
Well, I have a theory about that when it comes to our group. When you ask a question and I'm like, oh, this is Moses' answer, I don't answer it. And then I notice Moses doesn't get it around to it. And I'm like, this motherfucker with the 2 phones and all this bullshit now. So
Mo. It was more directed at Mo than anybody else, to be honest.
Wait, what?
It was more directed at Mo. To get in touch with you, Rancis, is pretty easy. It's our King Baby over here.
Sometimes I just deliberately ignore it.
You just answered your question right there. They want it that bad, they'll call back.
Well, you got the thing is that sometimes for me to come up with an answer that sets people up for success, it takes me a while to think about it. If I'm doing something else, I don't want to stop what I'm doing to be able to shift my energy to something else.
So Jay, when you edit, just maybe we can use this clip here and then rewind to when he said what they should do. Remember? Just moments before? Yeah. And then yeah.
Oh, you mean hey, listen, I'm doing something, I'll get back to you. Like tell you?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you might. No, with the team it doesn't matter. With the customer it does. I especially do it to Rances just to piss him off. Especially when he asks me questions like, "Did you do this thing?" And I'm like, "This fucking guy telling me when to do something." I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm not
no.
answering.
When Kev asked me those questions with work related questions like 5:30, I'm like, shut up.
Yeah,
I'll talk
that's
to you
exactly
tomorrow.
how
I've been
I feel.
talking to you since 7 a.m. Leave me alone. And it's so funny because I guess you guys would know best because like working with a very close friend, there's certain times like when like they're just giving you like something to do and you're just like, shut up. And they could be asking you nice, or for example, Kev is really, really about like morning team, and I always just text him like, "You're so gay." I was just like, "You're so," and it makes me laugh because it makes me think of you guys.
Well, it's interesting because I've heard a lot of people talking about like you shouldn't work with family, you shouldn't work with friends, all this stuff, and I don't really believe in that, obviously.
I don't either. Yeah.
But the reason is that, and then it goes down to kind of like what we were saying, like that transparent communication. You know, if I say some shit that annoys you, you are able to be like, dude, what the fuck? That's fucking like fucked up. And it's like, oh shit, okay, cool. And we can adjust from that. But I think people get into this whole feeling of like, this is a work environment, so I can't do that now. And then it creates this whole thing about like, we can't work together. But it's bullshit. It's like, just be fucking blunt and honest as much as possible, even if you come off as a dick and the other person retaliates by being, hey, you're being a fucking dick right now. And then we have great conversations.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just me growing up with a bunch of siblings.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the only thing is like you can't. I think with certain people, why they can't work with their friends and stuff like that, I think jealousy might play like a big part sometimes when it comes to like one taking the orders. You know, there's always, you know, it's not like if you guys are just we work together. It's like no, like this guy's essentially like my boss. You know, and I think some people aren't good at dealing with that sometimes. They're like, oh no, like I need to be doing better than him, or like that weird thing of like that weird competitiveness. I think that some people have when it comes to success, when it comes to like making money. I think that drives a wedge between people sometimes. But I think for it to work, you can't have that. Like you just want to do well. You just want everybody to do well. You want everybody to fucking be successful. And I think that's what makes it work. And I think that makes me work harder. Or even if Kev annoys me, it's like, no, I got to do this because also this is my fucking boy. Like I got to be a stand-up guy because this is my fucking brother. You know? So it's like at other times I had a different job. I'm like, fuck it, I'm not going to do this. Here it's like, oh, fuck this kid. You know, he was a fucking little bitch. And I do it. And then afterwards, it's like, hey, buddy, how you doing? Because it's just work.
Yeah.
It means nothing to like our life.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I've worked with family and friends my entire life. Every single job. Like I was a teacher with my dad for 10 years. And then I worked with Rances for whatever, the past 8 years. And you now for the past, year and a half.
Yeah. And
everything
also,
I've done has always, involved. Yeah, I worked with your dad. Yeah. I worked with Richmond.
Yeah.
I've always worked with friends.
Yeah.
This is nothing new to me.
I think it makes it fun. I think it makes work fun if you get to work with your friends.
Yeah, I think what gets in the way is that most family and friends, right? At least what I
work with Paola.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I mean, I kind of work with you indirectly. Yeah. But what I think happens is that most family and friends, like they come together and it's like for a good time. So it's always involving like having these great conversations and these great moments. But when you have to work with somebody, there's going to be good times and there's going to be shitty times and there's going to be difficult conversations. And I think that like all the people that I've worked with have always been people that I've always had authentic conversations with. So when it comes to work, it's easier to get things done because that feeling of I don't want to hurt people's feelings or I don't take things personally or whatever the case is, even with your dad, when every single time he would make fun of me and the first time I ever painted, he clowned me and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like that was him giving feedback and me being able to understand it. And I think that's what happens with family and friends. It's like your friend giving you feedback and you being able to, you know, take the criticism and learn from it and grow from it and not take it personal. I think that's something that people have difficulty with, especially when it comes to family and friends. Like with family, imagine like learning something from your dad is a lot harder than learning something from a coach.
Yeah.
It's like there's personal things involved.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, please subscribe, like below, comment, let us know your thoughts, and continue to enjoy. Yeah, and to Jay's point, like I just thought about like when it comes, so my family, obviously my dad has had multiple businesses in refrigeration and we grew up working in his businesses. So we always worked together in that sense. But it was interesting because we had a kind of a communal mindset behind it, which is like the better the business does, the better we all do. Like we're able to move to Jersey because the business is doing well. Or we're able to buy a house with a pool because the business is doing well. Like all of that stuff was always like this kind of communal, as opposed to that independent like thing that you were talking about, which I never experienced. It was like, oh, I'm doing better than you, and so therefore, like,
so
that doesn't
weird.
make any sense. But it makes sense when you present it like that. If it's like a different setup where it's not a communal kind of response. And then the other thing I thought about was also that feedback that Mo was talking about, where like, you know, bringing up the dad, I share with you guys all my dad's feedback, how he gives compliments and so on and so forth. So it's like, yeah, I never took that personally because is what you said, Mo, is like, I understand what it means. I understand that this means great job when he says, you see, you're worth something. So like that interpretation of the information and communication, I think is the factor. But if you're not used to coming together with people outside of like one realm, like if I'm only used to coming together with Mo to play basketball, and that's the only dynamic we have, then we go into trying to build a business. I mean, there'll be a lot of crossover in terms of basketball communication. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like I think if you go and you box with Jay, does that improve your communication and work? If you're always competing against each other.
That's it. Well, no, because I think I have a bad habit of just coming to sparring. When it comes to like to sparring with people, I'll start telling like, dude, if you fake up top and go to the bottom, you're gonna hit me. I start giving people advice on how to beat me up mid fight, and I compliment them. I think it freaks them out. If I get hit hard, I'm like, that was really nice.
You know, that just like kind of highlighted one key factor there. That what you just said is there's two sides of it. One is having the humbleness to like, you're not leading with ego of like, I need to be better. I need to beat the shit out of you to show you that I'm better. And then the other side of it is your own desire to genuinely improve. Like you expose your weaknesses is only going to give you the opportunity to improve.
Yeah.
So then in communication and work and any type of thing, if you have that same attitude, like things can't go wrong.
Emotionally, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I think you would do that unless you're getting your ass handed to you.
Well, you know what it is? It's not even if I'm getting my ass handed to me. It's one thing if I'm getting like outclassed. It's another thing, the aggressiveness. Like if we're boxing and they're just beating me up boxing, I'm cool. Now if somebody's trying to fight me and I'm like, oh, like you're just trying to hurt me. Like, we're not boxing anymore. You're just trying to take my head off. Then it turns into I'll start maybe shit talking a little bit more, and then I'll start matching their aggressiveness, and I'll start going harder because that's what it's called for. So it's kind of like I won't do it with everybody, but I do it based on how they try to run the situation.
Yeah. So interpreting that into like the same format, that's like, so if the environment is safe enough for you to expose your weaknesses, be vulnerable, then that's an opportunity to grow and be better. But if the environment is not that, then it's like you need to, establish your dominance in a way, or try to. So
yeah, and that's my least favorite one. Like, it's fun every now and then to do that, but if I'm not getting paid, or if this isn't for like a training camp, there's no real reason why I need to walk away with a headache because somebody has an ego today.
And that's self-awareness. Beautiful metaphor for growth.
Yeah, I learned that just like the past like 2 weeks with people that I'm like, oh, like it's a fight with you, and then I had to be like, yo, afterwards, I'm like, I'm not trying to like take your head off, right? But I have to match you because you're coming at me so aggressive, so I have to be aggressive with you. So like, just know that if you wanted to slow things down, I'm not gonna come at you the same way. I'm gonna meet you at how you like, at the level that you want to work at. How
does that land?
Most of the time, good. Most of the time, dude's like, yeah, it's just like I'm kind of nervous sometimes, and I get it. Then we get into like, it's just like that flight or fight response, and you're like, I just don't want to get my ass whipped. And I'm like, well, I'm not. If I'm literally telling you, hey, pick your guard up, stop throwing and leaving your hand down because I'm gonna come at you with something. Like, I'm here to make you get better and for me to get better because I want to be able to see things and know how to navigate the situation.
I got a question. Are the expectations of that like said prior to the sparring?
Yeah, most of the time, yeah. Unless it's like a new guy, like you could see, like you could tell the certain people because there's like a new guy who like doesn't talk to anybody. He's like, "Can I jump in?" And you're like, like we're just like working, right? Like this isn't like there's a lot. And I always tell them there's a lot of green guys here, so like take it easy if that's the case. It's just saying that there's new guys.
They don't understand the culture.
Yeah, because some dudes from other gyms, they come in and at certain gyms, even at my gym, depending on who's training, there's a level of like aggressiveness. Like, no, we're fighting, and it's fun to watch sometimes. And other times it's like, yo, it's Tuesday. There's like the whole week ahead. Like, you're gonna have a stutter. You're 18 years old. And then I get at the same time, I'm like, they're 18. It's just, they have to train hard, blah, blah, blah. Moral of the story is when I run the sparring stuff on the weekends in the mornings, I try to keep it as nobody's here is trying to fuck anybody up. We're here to learn. That and mostly, and all those guys are pretty receptive to it. And then the guys who come in who aren't receptive to it, they kind of learn because they'll fuck around with one of the other guys, and I'll send a really good guy to go in with them. And I'm like, don't be nice to them. And then they get humbled a little bit.
Well, the reason I asked that was because it's like setting the expectation from the beginning creates that kind of safe environment for someone to be open to that. I'm just thinking does someone have the awareness while in the moment of fighting to understand how aggressive they really are?
That's the difference.
In that moment. So that's hard.
Yeah.
Especially if you're nervous and shit. Like,
well, that's the thing. So I like trying to talk to the guys. I'm, and it's more accepted if they're new and aggressive. That's because it's like I get it. They're nervous. They don't know. They're just going off of reflex and just they're reacting to everything at this point. Compared to the other guys who I've seen around the gym and I know are a little bit more decorated, where it's like, all right, like you're the toughest guy in the gym today. Congratulations, you won. You're so tough. That's awesome.
You're not trying to prove anything.
Yeah, like we're here to all to work. I just, yeah, and you just gotta match those guys. It's just like treating it like a bully. It's just you just gotta stand up to them, even if you get your ass whipped in it. If you go, oh no, all right, fuck this. Like we're gonna, I'm gonna match it. They usually calm the fuck down.
That reminds me of I don't know if you ever heard. I'm sure you've heard of it. The whole thing with like when you have like a dog that's not behaving well, the best thing to do is to put him in a pack with a bunch of other dogs. He'll learn immediately. Like,
Yeah.
you can try to train him and teach him how to behave, but if you throw him in a pack with other dogs, he's gonna learn.
It's that's a good analogy to it because it's a lot like that.
To me, the interesting part about martial arts or boxing or any like physical endeavor is that it hurts. Lessons hurt.
Yeah.
So it allows you to learn the lessons to me, and it's to me because it hurts. It makes me learn faster, as opposed to like sometimes life keeps giving you the same lesson over and over, and until it hurts enough, that's when you learn it. With things like boxing, you learn these lessons. You learn how to communicate. You learn how to be a better person. You better, less egotistical, more willing to share your knowledge with others. All of that stuff comes from the pain.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Yeah, I think everybody should try to do something in that realm where they learn from pain. I think it'll humble a lot more people. I think people will be a lot more understanding of things if they know what it's like to be hurt physically and emotionally.
Or, go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is like what I understood from this conversation was that in order to have clear communication, you need to be okay with pain.
Yeah.
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 And I was going to say that goes along with that is, or be more sensitive to pain, right? Because if you're like, oh, it doesn't hurt, like, oh, always kind of brushing it off, that you don't get to learn. You don't get to understand the nuances of life and communication and relationships.
So not all pain is good.
It's an indicator of something.
Yeah.
Right? Says like there's no such thing as good or bad.
I didn't even notice that until you brought it up right now. I was like, oh, I'm still fighting that.
All right. Well, everybody, that was another episode of Mindset U. Jason Moreno here. We got Rancis. We got King Mo. Don't forget to find us on anywhere we can listen to podcasts, whether it's YouTube, Apple Podcasts, not
Spotify.
Google Podcasts anymore. It's YouTube Music, Spotify, and VidaProject.com. Peace.
Peace.